Gotta talk about the big fights, yo. That live stream was lit, man. We were on there for about 7 to 8 hours plus. But I gotta give a last crescendo recap, you know. The Smith Buatsi fight, I called that one, man. That was Smith was just way too big for him. As I said during the live stream, it looked like a cruiserweight against a welterweight. Smith was just moving him around at will. He was hurting him to the body. He had Buatsi hurt a couple times. Shout out to Buatsi, man. That dude's chin is crazy. But Smith just showed that he's on another level, and he just went in there and he handled his candle. He just imposed his will like a great fighter would do, and he got the victory, unanimous decision. Moving on, the Ortiz Madrimov fight was just unwatchable, man. It was a downer. There was nothing really exciting that happened. Madrimov was there's effective movement, and then there's movement like you're scared and don't want to engage. Now, Virgil Ortiz, I believe, said that he used to rough up Madrimov in sparring, and it looked like Madrimov knew it because he didn't want to exchange. Later on, I guess when he got tired, he tried to sit down on his punches, but it was just a boring fight. There's effective movement, like I said, and then there's movement like you just don't want to engage, and it was just a snooze fest for that fight. Moving on. Shakur Stevenson, man, I forget the guy's name that he fought, but that guy was game, man. He took a great punch, but Shakur just was too much. I like Shakur's body and head attack. He goes, the body comes up, goes down. You don't know where it's coming. Shakur was kind of hitting the dude at will, and the guy had a great chin, but you could see that he was just outgunned, and Shakur Stevenson got the victory. We would have had a different fight, I'm sure, if Kid Austin had been in the fight. It'd have been a different style. It would have been a little more energy towards the fight. But hey, funny things were happening in this event, man. At the last crescendo. So Shakur Stevenson gets the victory. Now, Zhang and Kabayel, man, that fight went exactly how I said it was going to go. Kabayel was working the body, and Zhang at what was he, 286 or 287? Way too heavy, Zhang. Way too heavy. You're 6'6". You're only 1 inch taller than Lennox Lewis. Emmanuel Stewart said Lennox Lewis was really 6'6", but he's listed at 6'5". You're 1 inch taller and you're weighing 286. The most I think Lennox Lewis ever weighed was his last fight against Klitschko. He's like 256, 257, and he looked great. Why are you so heavy, Zhang? You still would have power if you were like 256. You don't need to be 286. That's making your fights harder than they have to be, because you're trying to carry around that weight. And you were clearly exhausted, and Kabayel knew that would happen, and so did I. So he attacked your body, which takes your energy. The whole midsection of Zhang was just red. He was just getting beat to the body. Now, he knocked Kabayel down, but it was like a flash knockdown. And Kabayel just worked his body, knocked him down. There was a weird punch that happened somewhere in the fight where it looked like he was down, but he wasn't or something. But then he just kept roughing up those ribs and kidneys and stomach and noodles that he was eating, and Zhang goes down and he didn't want no more of it. That was it. Kabayel, very impressive, man. Kabayel beat what was that heavyweight's name? Makhmudov. He beat him when people didn't say he would. And I said if there would be any upsets on that card, it would be the Kabayel Makhmudov fight. So he beat him. He beats Frank Sanchez, and he beats Zhang, and he stopped all of them. Y'all better put some respect on Kabayel's name, because this dude is coming, man. He's no nonsense. He's coming out of Germany. And AJ said he even sparred with him, and he said he's rough because he said he'll go 1, 2. He said all of his shots aren't hard and it's deliberate. He said he'll pat you and then pow, 1, 2, 3, pow, 1, 2, 3, and AJ had all the respect for him. Any fighter fighting Kabayel better make sure their midsection is ready to absorb the punches. Now, George Foreman said a big stomach takes actually a better body shot than washboard abs. I don't know. I guess it might be different for every fighter, but whatever you do, you better hit the medicine ball against your midsection and get ready if you're fighting Caballero, because that dude's going to bring it to your body. He's the real body snatcher, man. So it would be interesting watching him and Dillian White go back and forth, seeing who could break each other's body down. But Caballero, man, that dude is no joke, no joke. And then the Parker McCauley fight. Now I was watching Antonio Tarver on Instagram, and he was saying that this shouldn't even go on McCauley's record because, you know, the no sleep, the short notice. Even McCauley, you know, he did an interview with Seconds Out. Shout out to them and Radio Raheem, and he was saying he like slept in the dressing room. I think even his gloves were Daniel Dubois' gloves. So, you know. But I like what Radio Raheem said, and that's what I was saying, you know, because they had called him before, I think, and he didn't want the fight, and then they talked him into it. So Radio Raheem was like, you know, but there's an adage, you know, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. In other words, why were you in the 300s as a fighter? You don't need to be weighing that in between fights. But, you know, he wanted to help out Turkey. He wanted to help out his friend Joseph Parker. And he said he heard, they said during the interview, I didn't hear Joseph Parker say it, but they said Joseph Parker admitted that Bacoli had hurt him during the fight. And they said his nose was bleeding. And Bacoli said he sparred with Parker before. And he said Parker doesn't like uppercuts. I mean, who does? And he thought he hurt him, but he got hit on the top of the head. Some people thought it was the temple. It wasn't the temple, it was the top of the head. And it kind of discombobulated him. And, you know, he was tough, though, because he took a shot from Parker earlier and, like, shook it off, like, bring it on. You know, they addressed that in the interview. You know, he's saying he wasn't hurt or something. And the crowd went crazy when he did that. But that shot that he got hit with, he said he didn't even see. And then Bacoli said he had an agreement with his corner that if something happened, you know, they could stop the fight. And his cornerman was telling him, you know, we got a big fight in May, so I didn't want to jeopardize that by having you get hurt in this fight. So he threw in the towel. The ref waved it off. It was a weak stoppage, though, you know, from a fan's point of view. It could have continued. He would have got stopped, in my opinion, but it would have continued. And like Radio Raheem told him, even though, you know, you were kind of out of shape and not ready and came in 2 days' notice, it still kind of gets rid of the air of invincibility that you're the boogeyman now because people saw you knocked out. And that's 2 knockouts because Michael Hunter knocked him out and now Joseph Parker did. So people might say, yeah, you're out of shape, but, you know, if I hit you right there, I might get the same results as Joseph Parker. So people are going to be putting a target on that spot, you know, and how he deals with it is something, but I do feel sorry for Bacoli's next opponent, whether it's F.A. Ajagba or whoever, because you know he's going to have a point to prove. He didn't like being on the world stage and getting knocked out. You know, he laughs and smiles a lot. You know, he has a great smile. Love Bacoli's smile. But you know he didn't like going out like that with the world watching. You know, he said, Mr. Turkey said, hey, I'll see you in May. I know you'll be ready. You weren't in shape for this fight. But you know Bacoli's going to try to put it on who's ever coming in the ring next. Like, nah, y'all didn't get the real Bacoli. I'm going to show you what it is. So I hear Jaron Anderson wants a rematch, but he might not want to fight Bacoli next. So, you know Bacoli's going to come in probably maybe even in the 270s for this next fight because he just wasn't ready. I said Joseph Parker would knock him out in 8. He ended up knocking him out in the 2nd. So I was right on the heavyweight fights, man. I got those right. And I was just impressed, you know. Parker was real emotional. He's crying. How could you not like Joseph Parker, man? He's a breath of fresh air. And it made me think, was Joseph Parker really the best heavyweight in the division all along next to Usyk and we just didn't realize it? You know, something to think about. He and AJ and Usyk and Dubois got some nice resumes as far as fighting the top guys. So shout out to Joseph Parker. Great job. Real nice, respectable guy, family guy. Shout out to Andy Lee who did his thing, and shout out to Martin Bacoli for taking the fight.